Maybe it's working. A doo wop, tick a tap bop, doo wop, tick a tap bop, doo wop, hey 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 hey. Okay, maybe my stream is working at this point, but hello, I am jcontra, and I'm playing a Donkey Kong for the Famicom, mostly because I was kind of unsatisfied with the harebrained scheme that I had about a month ago. Well, it's been about a month since I streamed last. I had the idea that I would play every single Famicom game and stream it and put it in historical context, but I found the show unsatisfying. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. However, I also made the resolve that I would collect every Famicom game year by year. And I've completed my 1983 set. And if you want to go see the cool-ass label scans that I just finished last night, I have posted those on my Tumblr, which I hope is in the description of this stream right now. Because sometimes I edit the streams and the edits don't show up, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's because I'm making a mistake in OBS or because of whatever other streaming software that I'm using at the time, but I hope that has changed at this point. Anyway, it's been a long time since I have streamed, and for a somewhat good reason, because I've had a crazy, you might even say hellish 2 weeks, but I mean hellish in a good kind of way, if hell can be good, because I went to Kyoto. I was there for about 4 days, and then I came back, and my parents came to visit me in Japan. And so I'm going to try and break up talking all about my life and Japan, and perhaps even some games. And maybe we'll even get to level 4 in Donkey Kong, because that's about the best I can ever do. And you can see how terrible it is now. That's because I'm talking, because it's hard to play video games and talk at the same time. And that's why I have 0 Marios, and I'm on level 2. Anyway, so oh goddamn. Okay. So I was at Bit Summit in Kyoto, and Bit Summit is a really cool little indie festival that gets put on every year. I think this is what was called the 5th of Bit Summit. And it's a place where Japanese and indie devs from all over the world, they get together and they show off their games. And I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. And I met a guy who helps coordinate the volunteers for the event, because it's pretty much all volunteer run. And so I was like, hey, I can speak a modicum of Japanese, and you guys need translators. So I'll help out. I can do streams, and I can do social media support and all that noise. And initially, so the thing is because I signed up being like, oh, I'll help translate the streams. That would be neat. Well, no, apparently, the event is actually officially sponsored by Twitch. And I was looking over the previous year's streams, and it was just like this guy, maybe you know of Chato Sensei. He's a big Twitch streamer in Japan. He's this white guy that I think lives in Chiba or something. And he had done the translating for the streams, like the indie devs. They would bring a laptop over and they would stream it on Twitch. And so he would he would help translate for the Japanese developers that couldn't speak English. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that if he's if he needs some support or he's not going to show up. Well, because Twitch is officially sponsoring the event, they this guy, hi guy, who's this he's this I don't know if he's American. He's very white. And he's got this crazy beard action going on, but he's a pretty cool dude. I've seen some of his streams. He's the high tension gaijin. I don't know if he works for. He works for XSplit, and he speaks really hella good Japanese, much better than mine. And he was like the official streamer, and so I felt kind of disappointed not being Bit Summit's official streamer. But what I did eventually end up becoming was the official social media manager for BitSummit. And so if you go to @BitSummit, a lot of those tweets are mine. A lot of them are not, because some of the event organizers have direct access to the Twitter feed and posted cool pictures with people like Suda51, with yeah, there we go. And they got some pictures of some really cool people. And I got to shake Suda51's hand and give him the old Yoroshiku. That was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. I wish I could have said more to him, but I tend to find when I'm confronted with the heroes that have created some of my favorite video games, much like with really any social interaction with new people, I can't find myself saying a whole lot, and I just get really nervous, and so I just kind of clam up and don't say anything. Okay, I don't know if it's the input lag or what, but I'm pretty sure I jumped off that platform. Hey, Nabble A. How's Trix? How you doing? Skyrim lover. Yes, this is in fact very old school. This came out... Oh, man, when did it come out? It came out, what, August 1983, motherfucker. I think this is the original, one of the original carts. Because if you go to my Tumblr, I scanned in and modified, I enhanced all of the cartridge labels for the 1983 Famicom releases. And boy, do some of these here, maybe I can show you. This is let's see, I hope, I actually don't have direct access to my camera right now, because I have to watch, like, I have this insane setup, so I can't actually see if the cartridge is in the view screen right now. I think it is. But this is what 1983, I think up until 1984, this is what Famicom cart labels used to look like. They used to have this crazy swish in them. And it wasn't until the, I'd say, latter half of 1984 that Famicom cartridges also started getting pictures on them. Also, let me think. Yeah, the first, let's see, there were, how many were 3, 6, 9? There were a total of 9 games that originally came out for the Famicom in the, I think it had 4 months in 1983, you know, August through December. There were 9 games that came out. And all of them were produced by Nintendo. And what's also interesting about them is I'm looking at them now, none of them actually share the same color. Like here, let me grab a bunch of them. This is part of the stack that I have. And you can see, yeah, some of them are like green. You got a couple green ones. That's Popeye and I think Mahjong. But they don't have the same color, and which is so weird because it's very different from... Oh, come on. Okay, now I gotta jump over this fire. Oh no, my time is up! Oh no! Oh no! Because the original Nintendo, all of the cartridges are gray for the most part, except for like the unofficial cartridges. Okay, come on. Nope, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it with you. You just got scolded, Donkey Kong. So I was at BitSummit, and what else did I do? So I ran the Twitters, I ran the Facebook. I got to talk with some really cool indie devs. There was a really cool game called Killer Queen, which is apparently people know about this. It was developed within the last few years. I haven't lived in America for going on 6 years now, so a lot of the like recent developments in like terms of barcades and stuff that's going on there right now, I have no idea. But this developer brought out a really cool arcade game called Killer Queen, and you're like a hive of, I think, bees, and you're like fighting the other hive for resources or just killing them all or other stuff. And it's actually like this really giant arcade machine that plays, it's a 5-on-5 game. So there's one arcade machine that's for one team, and that has 5 sticks at it. And then there's the other arcade machine that has the other 5 sticks on it. And unfortunately, the dev team wasn't able to bring over the arcade machines, but they brought over a specially modified controller set of NES controllers hooked up to a computer with a special version of Killer Queen that apparently you cannot play on Steam or anything. You have to play it in the arcade. So I don't know if anybody's heard about it, but it's pretty cool. I played it for a bit. The developer was there giving a talk, and I remember a lot of things because I had to look up all this crap. Oh, this crap. I hope none of the Bit Summit management team is watching this. But all of this information as part of my social media endeavors. And I actually felt pretty proud of what I was able to do. When I got there, definitely the social anxiety had set in because it's a new place. It's something I've never done before. Not only was I there as a translator to help out a little bit, and I had done some translation beforehand, just translating documents and stuff. Oh no, now I'm trapped. But I also helped, a little bit. I was mostly social media, but sometimes I would help out if, somebody was having a problem. Like, I think Double Fine was there. I forgot what his name was. But there was one of the developer, producer, directors from Double Fine was there showing off some really cool indie games that Double Fine was publishing. And that I think have maybe already come out. I remember everything. I remember the developer behind everything was there. He gave a talk. There was also some other games that I can't remember, but for some reason their booth had crashed, and so I had to help out fix that system. And I got to play some really cool shooters. Crap, who was it? Was it Digipress? There's this Japanese, well, it's a company that seems to be mostly of foreigners, I think, but they will publish both foreign and Japanese indie games. I think both within and out of Japan. That they have some really cool shooters. Unfortunately, I can't remember the name of any of them. So I think that's gonna really help you out. I wish I could remember what their names were, because they had this really cool setup where they had laptops out and they had they had really nice arcade sticks hooked up to those computers, and it was really nice. I actually just recently bought a cheap Hori arcade stick to play main, and oh my god, it's a complete difference playing a shooter between using an arcade stick and a controller. A controller is, hot garbage. It's much like using a controller to play FPS. It's just like, why? Why would you do that? And then what else? Oh, and then I was also because I was thinking about this. Because, Donkey Kong was originally an arcade game. So am I betraying the artistic vision of Miyamoto by playing this on the Famicom with a dirty console controller rather than the glorious arcade stick? Is that something that I'm doing wrong? I don't know. And this is part of Donkey Kong I want to pay special attention to, because this is like my limiter. This is where I always die, because you got this thing here, and as you go up the levels, see, look at that, I almost died. And when the thing, I don't even, what do you call that, springboard? I don't even know what you call that. But it just gets progressively faster the more levels you go up. And I have not figured out how to get past level 4 on that thing. And maybe we can do that together. Maybe Skyrim Lover 56. Perhaps you can help me in my endeavor to get past that stupid springboard on level 4, because it always kills me. Although, to be fair, a lot of things kill me in Donkey Kong. So I'm gonna need a lot of help. And I'm already on level 3, but I also have I have 0 Marios left. Come on, yes! Okay, dodge that guy. Let's get him. Let's see, no one's coming over here. Now, as long as that bottom guy doesn't come up, I should be fine. We'll get to level 4. How many levels can you go up in Mario? We're not even playing Mario. One of the things that people like to say, I remember this is in Scott Pilgrim, I probably mentioned this in the last stream, but the character that you're playing as is supposed to not be Mario, but he kind of is, because I think in the original Japanese he was referred to as Jumpman. And a lot of, hipster nerds, although frankly a lot of, actually types, like myself, are quick to point out that his name is Jumpman. However, in America, he's very clearly Mario. Like, there's that whole story where Nintendo of America had, a warehouse, and apparently they were behind on the rent. So, they were putting together Donkey Kong cabinets, and the landlord comes by to get the rent, and his name is Mario. So, what are we gonna name this guy? We can't just name him Jumpman, because that kind of works in the Japanese, but it doesn't really work in the English. So they're like, oh, we'll just name him Mario after the landlord. So it's kind of this case. It's like, his name kind of is Mario, but his name is also not Mario. So who knows? I don't know. I think, I would bet you anything if you asked Miyamoto, oh, come on! Are you serious? Are you serious, game? I bet if you asked Miyamoto who the character in Donkey Kong is that tries to save the princess, he's just gonna say Mario. If I ever have the chance to meet Miyamoto, I'll let you know. I think maybe we'll go to one more game over, because I mean, what else do I have to talk about Bit Summit? Oh, so I was just kind of walking around and I was talking with the other translators, and you know, these are I was, you know, for some reason I was paired with the really good translators, like the people who were working on stage, which, you know, they're way beyond my level. They're way ahead of me. So I wasn't really there to, like, you know, do main stage or like media interpreting, because oh my god, like, you know, what's gonna happen is there's gonna be an article on like Eurogamer or US Gamer, and it's gonna be like, oh my god, this guy got so many things wrong, the translator was so dumb. And so I kind of shied away from that just because of my anxiety, and also because my Japanese isn't that good. However, I was able to hang out with those guys and able to hang out around the main stage, so I got to see some really cool people. And so this guy, he's like, hey, here's this, you know, do you see this lady over here who's standing next to him? Who's this just like very unassuming, you know, probably mid-40s Japanese woman. And he's like, this is the lady that composed the original Mega Man. And so that's the point where my eyes go wide, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's nice. I don't want to say anything to her or I will embarrass myself. So just, you know, things like that. Bit Summit is still, I would say, you know, it's big. A few thousand people go, but when you compare it to TGS, it's pretty small. However, you get some really cool people that will show up, like Koichi Igarashi came to Bloodstained, which I'm really looking forward to. Let's see, Suda was there. Yoshi P was there. Shuhei Yoshida, the president of Sony Video Games. I actually can't remember what his actual title is, but he's just like basically Cobra Commander of PlayStation, I like to think. But he was really cool. I didn't really get to talk to him, but I happened to be in the same room as him in the media interview room. Let's see, what else happened at Bit Summit? There was just really cool games, a lot of cool people. I got to meet some cool folks. I wish I had a chance to check out VR, because there were some really cool VR games at Bit Summit, which was quite surprising to me, because you figure the cost of VR, the cost of developing VR has to be pretty high relative to making some, you know, not to downplay how much it costs to make an indie game, because when you talk to a lot of these people, you know, they're burning through savings or, you know, whatever investments or loans they can get. Like, developing a game, no matter what size, is a pretty big, not only just, you know, labor-intensive endeavor, but financial as well. But VR, I would think, would be particularly intensive in terms of money and time. But there are indie developers who are making VR games, and I wish I could get PSVR in this freaking country, but I cannot find it anywhere. Well, no, that's not true. I cannot find it anywhere for MSRP. I think PSVR, I've seen it in some used video game stores for like, oh my god, like, I think they wanted like $700. Well, I guess now with exchange rate, like $600. But oh my god, it's like I'm not paying $600 for PSVR. Like, I'm gonna pay $600 for VR, I'm gonna buy like a Vive, not Oculus, because I have my personal objections to the developers behind Oculus. But a Vive would be pretty cool, and it's about the same price as a PSVR in this country. And I've got the computer to run it. I'm very fortunate that way. However, I would like to get a PS Pro and be able to, you know, play some cool VR games one of these days, and maybe that will happen. But for now, I'm stuck in the petty realm of 2D. Oh yeah, maybe I'll just talk about my Kyoto trip for a minute. So for me to get to Kyoto, I live down in Saga. I live down on Kyushu. And man, does it take a long-ass time to get to Kyoto. Because Kyoto is actually pretty central in terms of Japan. It's in Kansai, so it's near Osaka. It's kind of in the middle of everything. But for me, I think it's like 5 hours. Like, I gotta take a train a couple hours to even get to the Shinkansen, to the bullet train, to then take a 3-hour train ride up to Kyoto. But I love that bullet train, man. I will get weirdly emotional whenever I get near the bullet train. I really don't know how else to describe it, but whenever I manage to see the bullet train go by, or I'm getting on, I get, you get that. It's not quite sad. It's I have bad trouble describing. I have trouble describing emotions, and it's just something. I think it's gratitude. It's a mix of gratitude with being overwhelmed. Just like it's like I made it. Like, this is something I thought about. I didn't think it would happen like this for probably 20 years. I didn't think, I always wanted to go to Japan, but I never thought I would actually be able to kind of, in a way, get paid to go to Japan. I always thought, I'd vacation there. But live here, that was a whole, that was a fantasy that I put on the back burner. And yet I'm living that fantasy, and let's see, I'll be finishing up year 5 come August, and then I will maybe one day, perhaps I will talk about that in one of these here streams in the next couple of days. But I got a job to start after my current one, so I'm very excited about that. It will be a lot more doing more social media strategy plus like corporate outreach, that kind of stuff. Oh, now I kind of forgot where I was going with that thought. Let's see, Skyrim Lover, what's up? Speaking of Sony, I'm currently... Skyrim on the PS3, are you crazy, man? Skyrim on the PS3? I thought... Wasn't there some bug? I remember Skyrim came out, what, like 5 years ago? 4 years ago? And I thought on the PS3, there was some kind of bug where if you had too much stuff, it would, like, glitch or something, and it would just shut down, because when you think about it, I think the PS3 only has, like, what? Not even, it has like, what, 512 megs of RAM? Like, it barely has any RAM, which is insane. But then again, it also makes sense because the PS3 came out like 10 years ago. So, computers 10 years ago, like, I mean, how many, I think I've got like, what, 16 gigs in my current PC? Like, man, Skyrim Lover, like, you gotta get it, like, just get even the most basic of laptops. Now, will probably outperform a PS3 playing Skyrim. What are you doing with your life, man? Oh my god, this is what kills me about Donkey Kong. Like, you jump, you go like what? I mean, on my screen, my small, like, it's like a 32-inch screen. You drop like 2 inches and you're dead. Like, are you kidding me, game? So they fix the bugs, Skyrim Lover? Because that would be nice. Not that I've never actually played an Elder Scrolls game on console. I've played Morrowind. I've played Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. I've played them all on PC. Oh god, oh, it's the input lag. I swear to God. Normally, so maybe one day I'll show my setup. But next to my big, big 32-inch. Oh god, I keep pausing. Unpause it. There we go. Next to my flat screen, I have a CRT. I have a Trinitron that I play all my retro games on, and I don't seem to have this jumping problem. But the thing is when you play retro games on an LCD TV, there's actually some kind of processing lag. It's like a few milliseconds, but apparently it makes Punch-Out unplayable, or so I've heard, unless the input lag gets fixed. I don't know if they fixed that for the NES Classic, or if they made adjustments, or if they didn't, because I think I heard someone say that, instead of playing it on the NES Classic, they just ended up playing it on their NES because it was much better. Yeah, I heard that the PS3 version of Skyrim was really crappy. But the 360 version was better, and I heard that was the same for games like Bayonetta. That apparently originally, for I think the first few years, and even, for most of its life, the PS3 was a programming nightmare. Mostly because of its cell processor that, like, I don't know, maybe, how old are you, Skyrim Lover? I might be dating myself with how freaking old I am. Oh, excuse me, but I remember reading about the PS3 back in the early 2000s in EGM. Like, that was when I was a kid visiting my grandparents, I'd always bring a bunch of EGMs. So kids, there used to be a thing called a magazine. which was a lot of pictures and words. You may not be able to read those these days, but I had to read them. It was I didn't have an iPad, and I would have to go to my grandparents' house for like a week, and so I had nothing to do except for play video games, and read magazines about video games. And I remember very distinctly one of the things that EGM had an article on was about the cell processor of the PlayStation 3. And the cell processor was this insane idea that, not only are we going to have just one processor, it's actually going to be a processor of little tinier processors. And at the idea, that sounded insane. This was before, I think really before dual-core and quad-core and multi-core processors had become a standard. I think they were maybe in development, but they hadn't really hit the mainstream yet. And the idea of the PS3, the PS2 was already powerful enough, but having a PS3 that had all of these processes, you're like, holy shit, this is gonna be insane. And as it turned out, it was really difficult to program for. A lot of the ports for the PS3 were not as good as the Xbox 360 ports, and it was really only until the end of the PS3's life cycle that you got really impressive games PS3 games could be really impressive, but the ones that stood out as different from Xbox games like The Last of Us, you didn't see those until the very end. And even then, they were, by that time, the PS4 was already coming out, so they just ended up making better versions for the PS4 anyways, and I think the PS4 is x86. So, Sony had this insane idea, and it was kind of the apex of everything they had been working for 30 years in terms of game development, where it was all their own hardware, their own specs, things that they could manufacture better relative to just buying off-the-shelf parts, like, say, Microsoft would. But that kind of came to a head because the PS3, it had the cell processor and it had Blu-ray. We're talking major Sony technologies that they were hoping that the PS3 would popularize and would become not just, beneficial for them in terms of the PS3, but also in terms of Blu-ray players and perhaps even, processors for other devices. But the PS3 was so expensive, it didn't make any sense. Sony, I think, ended up beating the Xbox 360 in terms of sales, but they had lost. It was nothing like how the PS2 crushed the Xbox and the GameCube. Really, it's only been, they would say, within the last couple of years that Sony's been able to regain its place as the champion of console games. But we'll even see what kind of we'll see what happens with the Switch, which I have. And I bought Mario Twins Racing, which I love, and I'm almost finished. I beat all of the mirror courses, and I beat all of the I got golds on all of them, and I got golds on all the 150 CC. And I died. But I'm much better at Mario Kart than I am at Donkey Kong. I promise you. Skyrim Lover, you're 19? Holy crap! How old am I? What is it like, Skyrim Lover, living in a world? Have you ever been to a place that doesn't have Wi-Fi? I used to have dial-up. Let me tell you what, every time I wanted to connect to the internet, I had to, hear this crazy phone screaming at me. And it was pretty insane. That was for about... Yeah, buddy! Come on! Come on! Yes! Okay, I can do it. Okay. I just need to get... Yeah, there we go. Sneak past him. And then I'm gonna jump over here. A lot? What does a lot mean? You had a lot of dial-up, or you had a lot of Wi-Fi? Okay, I just gotta believe. Okay, alright. If I can beat Donkey Kong on this level... Okay, I've got one life left. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get to level 4. I'm going for half an hour. And I think I've talked as much about Bit Summit in Kyoto as I want. Oh, by the way, if you're visiting Kyoto, I recommend the retro store, Ojama-kan, which is actually pretty close to Fushimi Inari, which is my favorite place in Japan. I recommend going there. You had dial-up? Holy crap. I thought that was just for old timers like myself. How long did I have dial-up? I mean, when did I first get dial-up? Where was I living? I think I was living in Alabama at the time. That means I would have been in the 4th grade. Oh, and I died. Okay. Well, now we're just talking about dial-up, and I'm dead. So that was a good half-hour stream. Maybe I'll be back in an hour or two playing Donkey Kong Jr. And I'll talk about the trip I just went on after Kyoto. Maybe I'll talk about Fuji. I'll talk about, what else did I do? I went to Fuji. I went to Oita in Kyushu. I'll talk about all that stuff. But I think for now, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to drink some water. But yeah, that was Donkey Kong for the Famicom. And I have been jcontra. Thanks to two of you who are watching. I know maybe some other people will watch this. But yeah, that's it for me. I've been jcontra saying thanks for watching. And mahalo.